What I do think is a big deal is some of the recruits that they had on campus for that game.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
there was one big one in particular, and that is five-star offensive lineman David Sanders Jr. And this is, this isn't his first time on campus, and he has
Hmm.
been a Tennessee commit since August. So, um, but this is someone that Ohio State has had on their radar for a while now. Justin
Yeah.
Fry has been recruiting him hard. He was flirting with Clemson prior to his commitment to Tennessee as well. And Ohio State's clearly making a big push for him here. And it sounds like there's a chance he's on campus this weekend, too.
Hmm.
So this would be, how I talked about before, I'd given Justin Fry a lot of flack. I'd pretty much have to take back all my flack if he was able to land this guy. I mean, he's a
Yeah.
number one offensive tackle recruit in the 2025 class, number 5 overall recruit, according to the composite on 247 Sports. So I think, having him on campus is a big deal. And if they can flip him, that would really help set up the Ohio State recruiting class for the offensive line specifically for years to come, even if they end up
Hmm.
losing a few guys in other positions. What do you think?
No. No, it's huge. And Justin Fry. It's not that Justin Fry hasn't gotten big offensive lineman recruits. Luke Montgomery was a big time offensive lineman recruit, but he's from Ohio. He grew up a Buckeye, so it wasn't that hard to
Well, yeah,
honestly
yeah, and he's a
get him to commit.
four-star kid. He hasn't had
Yeah,
that Paris Johnson, that
no,
big five-star
no,
recruit, no doubter.
and so David Sanders, man, he's someone. And for all the Buckeye fans that don't know, he was actually the teammate of Jaden Davis, the freshman quarterback
Yep.
for the University of whatever. But if Justin Fry can lock this down and flip him from Tennessee, this would do wonders. And the truth of the matter is that I think if he's able to do it, this will just be the cherry on the top of him proving his worth at Ohio State this season, because he has done that. That was the 15th rendition of the Ohio State offensive line we saw this year, this past Saturday. And so I think that when you see what he's been able to do to the offensive line, recruits are going to notice that. I think David Sanders notices that. I think he also sees the opportunities that you would have at going to Ohio State, being on the field and off the field, uh, which is, I mean, more than you could ever have at Tennessee, for being completely honest here. And that's for a lot of the Big Ten teams compared to the SEC teams.
Yeah.
But I know a showing like we had against Indiana was big. No, it's a big time game. Recruits like to see that. Wish it was at night, because then it would have been much better. But no, and if he's able to come back to the game this weekend, and does it, and we do what I think we're going to do.
If
Oh,
he comes back 2 weekends in a row, it's a wrap.
it's a
He's
it
staying at
is. It
Ohio State.
is. It is. And I've seen like on a bunch of message boards, some not bunch, some message boards for Tennessee fans. They think it's a wrap for him. They think it's a wrap for him. They think he's
Yeah.
gone. They
Yeah.
do. They also think that.
Well, and I think this kind of ties into, what we talked about last week with Naima Ford.
Mm-hmm.
Word is he's probably going to flip. He's probably, and it looked like initially he had been linked to Auburn for a really long time, and then it was Oregon, and now it seems like it's back to Auburn. But in none of those conversations seem to mention Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
So if he flips, that means there's more NIL money open for a five-star recruit like David Sanders, for someone
Mm-hmm.
who can really help, change the future of this offensive line. Because as we've seen this season, depth is a premium at the offensive line, and Ohio State didn't really have a whole lot of depth coming into the season. Now they've built depth now because they've kind of had to, but
Yeah.
when you get a guy like a five-star, can play left tackle day one kind of guy, that really helps elevate the unit as a whole. So, it would be huge if they can land him. And you know what? If there's still a slight shot they can keep a forward if he ends up visiting this weekend, now that's certainly not a done deal either. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I agree with you on that, and also, like, if you told me, hey, you get David Sanders, but you lose offer, I would take it. I would, because he's the truth of the matter is, Ohio State. Yeah, I'll go say this. Ohio State has the deepest cornerback room in the nation. It's a 2-corner system. I mean, if you look at the corners on Ohio State's team, you still got guys like Bryce West who aren't even touching the field right now. Like there's guys like
Yeah.
that, and
Aaron
so
Scott.
exactly. I think the
He's
immediate
been hurt, but
impact that David Sanders would do wonders. It would.
yeah. Yeah. And, you know, corner also, that is a premium position, but there's not a bigger position than, you know, it's left tackle is a premium position where you need to have a dude.
Yeah.
You need to have a guy who can protect that quarterback. Or if Aaron Nolan ends up being the quarterback at some point, the right tackle needs to be a premium dude.
That's
And
never going to happen.
that's
That's never
well,
going
okay. Well, even if it does, someone like Sanders can play both
Yeah.
positions.
Yeah.
So he can go left tackle, he can go right tackle, he can play wherever Ohio State needs him to play. So I think that's the biggest thing. And if they, like I said, if they can end up flipping this, I think it would be the biggest flip that Ohio State could possibly have this cycle. And
Mhm.
again, it would really round out Ohio State's recruiting class and really have them have
Yeah.
a strong finish through the class. Even if they are going to end up losing a couple guys, they still could end up with the top recruiting class if they land a 5-star guy like Sanders. So
Most definitely. And, losing guys is going to happen because it happens to everybody. It's not an Ohio State problem. It's an everybody problem. But at the same time, I mean, you look where we are right now, number 2 in the nation. I think there's a really good chance we're getting number 1. And if we do, it's not going to be some surprising thing that happens. But yeah, man, if you look at the class right now, like I'm looking at here, we have our cornerback, we have a corner. We do have Carlo. So but again,
sure,
that's an Ohio kid. That's an Ohio kid, So I mean, yeah. Outside of that, I think every position we have on here. I mean, we do have Petty John. We do have Nate Roberts. This class is I think if we get David Sanders, this will be arguably it would arguably be Ryan Day's most complete class in terms of position.
Well, if they're able to keep the class mostly intact, and if they finish with the number 1 class, it'd be something Ohio State's never done. Ohio State has never had the top ranked recruiting class in the country, so that would truly be historic.